Hello, friends. Uncle Marv here with another episode of the IT Business Podcast, the show for IT professionals and managed service providers to help you run your business better, smarter, and faster. Today, I have a conversation with a lady I met while she was down here at the IT Expo / MSP Expo / AI Expo, you know, the big conference that happens every year here in Fort Lauderdale. We met at the MSP dinner put on by the MSP Association of America. Her name is Laura Jetter. She is the Director of Sales for Managed Network Services at Vector Security Networks. Laura, that's a handful.
Yes, it is. That is what I have to say.
Yeah, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Yeah. So we met at that dinner and had a lovely time there. I don't know how we ended up sitting next to each other, but I enjoyed the people walking over trying to have weird conversations with us.
That was very interesting. Yes. Yes, it was. It provided some good entertainment for the evening.
Yes. We did not have to do anything ourselves.
That is right.
So let me get this out of the way because it's not tech related, but one of the reasons I think we sort of hit it off is that you are close to where my wife is from, up in the state of Ohio.
Yes,
and she's from a tiny, tiny town. And not that you're from a tiny, tiny town, but you're up in the Ohio area.
I am. Yes, I'm up in the Northeast Ohio area, just outside of Akron, Ohio, which is just south of Cleveland, in not a little town, but a town called Cuyahoga Falls. Right next to the Cuyahoga Valley National Park. It's a beautiful area here. I love living here.
Nice. Are you okay with the colds?
Well, not so much the cold. That's not my favorite. But I try and schedule as much time down in the warmer climates as I can during those cold winter months. But everything else that we have, the other 3 seasons make up for the cold. So
that's true. Okay. All right, so let's get a little bit of what we're going to chat about here. When you and I were chatting, I think one of the things that also stood out to me was the fact that you were trying to explain your job and your company to regular MSPs. When I mean regular MSPs, most of us, I think if people were honest, we're small. Even if we have, 10 employees, we're small. Yes. Vector Security Networks is not small.
Correct.
So describe for everyone that's listening the size of your company, the scope of your company. What do you guys do?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Vector Security Networks is kind of an interesting demographic. So we have several hundred employees. We are all under the umbrella of Vector Security, and then Vector Security Networks is more of our commercial side of our business. So a lot of people will see Vector Security signs in retail locations and homes and things. They have a physical security presence. Vector Security Networks, we have that commercial physical security, and then we also have our M&S brand, which is what I lead that sales department for the M&S team. And what we do on that side is we provide the typical managed services that you would provide, that most managed service companies provide to their clients, but we do it on a national level. So we have, like I said, several hundred employees. The VSN kind of headquarters is in Gainesville, Virginia. Our overarching headquarters is in Warrendale, Pennsylvania. So we are backed by a very large company. And then we have a very large presence, again, in the national managed services space. So we're a little bit unique in the industry in that we can provide services, on that national level. So we have most of our clients have a presence throughout the United States and a lot in Canada as well. So we have, the buying power, we have we attract the talent and things to serve those national larger clients.
All right. So you're going after the big boys.
We are going after, yes.
Okay. Now, I also want to add this because I see on your LinkedIn a lot, you talk about co-managed a lot. And again, us as smaller folks, even though we're doing co-managed, it might be for companies that, maybe have multi-locations and we're just doing, the overall network management for them. We may not be doing the day-to-day in those organizations, but you talk about, outsourcing and co-manage almost back and forth interchangeably. Is that the case, or how do you distinguish your services?
Yeah, so our services can really be designed, even though we're a larger MSP and we deal with larger clients, one of the unique things about Vector and VSN is that we can actually provide custom solutions. So we can provide a little or we can provide a lot. We can handle everything end to end for our clients. But a lot of our clients, because they are some of the larger clients and they do have some of their own resources, will co-manage, right? We'll do certain services on certain aspects, and then they'll pick up, on some things and kind of do like a swivel chair type of an arrangement. But again, the unique thing about us is that we can customize those solutions based on need, and we can be very agile and scalable. To meet our clients where they are and where they're going.
And here's where I think most listeners should perk up their ears, because you also do co-managed with a lot of MSPs, right?
Yes, we do. Yes.
Now, is it true co-managed, or are they using you to extend their reach across the nation if they need hands, or are you truly doing co-managed where they take care of some stuff, you take care of others? How does that work?
Yeah, so we work with other companies where they take care of some portion, and then we will take care of the rest. We do field services work for companies that maybe they don't have their own field services team or they don't have a field organization. We can do that. We can provide, again, the same thing. I feel like in the IT space, in the MSP space, it's more of a co-opetition than competition.
Okay.
Right? Than some of the other areas. There's so much out there to do, and there's such a big market, and there's such a need for managed services providers. We can work together, and we can help the smaller MSPs when they need larger, more robust tools and presence.
All right. Well, what do you think is the most common request that you get from MSPs? Is it help desk? Is it project work? Is it the boots on the ground?
Mm-hmm. Probably the boots on the ground. So so one thing about Vector Security Networks is we don't actually do the help desk piece of the service. We do the service desk. So We're handling all the back end infrastructure, and we're handling all of that piece. When it comes to the changing passwords and resetting emails and things like that, those help desk things, we don't do that part of it. So somebody may have, a managed service where they do the help desk piece, but they don't have the infrastructure piece. They don't have that back end network, and they need somebody to do that monitoring and that management and making sure that they're providing the uptime and things that their clients need. So.
Nice. How does that compare, like stack wise? Do you ever, have to educate another MSP on stack usage when it comes to managing that back end?
Sometimes, it depends on who they are. It depends on where they are, right? It depends on the MSP. When you're talking to different managed services providers, you get, there's all different levels, right? And everybody's kind of doing their specialty, right? So it really does depend on the MSP.
Okay.
But most of what we're doing, to be fair, is more B2B, more with enterprise. Upper mid-market enterprise businesses and that B2B market.
Okay. So. All right. So I know I asked you a bunch of technical stuff there. You're not the technical person. You're the salesperson.
That is correct.
So let's go ahead and let's slide into your comfort zone a little bit. But before we get too far into Vector Security Networks, you've not always been in the MSP space, right?
That's correct. No, I really got my start, and again, I'm gonna age myself here. So thanks for that. But I started out when I was 17 years old, working on mainframe computers. So doing things like running jobs and doing backups, things like that. I was actually still in high school when I had that job, and I actually did that for a few years, and then I moved into the telecommunication space where I was handling I was managing the telecommunications for a consumer products company that had a 200-seat call center. So I was managing their phone systems, their voicemail systems, configuring those and making sure that the call center infrastructure was working well. And then I moved to a peripherals like computer peripherals company, specifically printers, laser printers, and doing service and support for those peripherals. And then I moved into the MSP and VAR space. And I moved into that space on the more on the operation side. So doing client success, project management things of that nature. And then moved into a kind of a quasi sales role, kind of like a liaison between operations and sales. And then moved into sales and then sales leadership from there. So I spent 17 years with that organization, and they were also a very large MSP and VAR. In fact, they were and are still global. So that's kind of how I kind of moved into this larger enterprise space. Then I kind of took a break from the infrastructure side. I really wanted to round out my background with some of the software side of IT. So I worked for a company for almost 3 years doing they did software services and support. So I was leading their Midwest sales organization. They were a very large global company, so we were much more segmented. And then
I have a quick question. I think this is the company that I saw this at, and you can tell me if I'm right or wrong. That company or a company that you worked for promised up to 90% savings on total software support costs. Did I read that right?
You read that right. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Yes. Yeah. So, you get into these big conglomerate software companies, right? I won't name them, but you don't want to get into all of that. But the most of their revenue on their maintenance and their software support goes into design and engineering and development of new products, not necessarily into the support model. So when you have a company that focuses on support, you can offer major cost savings at that level when you go to kind of like a third party to provide that maintenance support for you. So yeah, those are real numbers. I was shocked as well when I was talking to them before I came on board. I'm like, really, is that marketing or is that reality? And it was reality.
Okay. So they were promising that before you got there, because part of me was thinking, man, if you were the one that made that transition, that was huge.
I was not the one that made that transition. That is the product offering and the type of ROI that you could realize from their support services.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then, so that was the company right before you moved into your current role or into the MSP space total?
Into my current role, yes.
Okay, your current role. Okay. Yes. And you've been there, almost 2 years now?
1 year. Actually, yesterday was my 1 year anniversary.
1 year yesterday. Well, congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
Do you have a party?
Yeah, I spent some time at our headquarters with my boss, and we had I think we had lunch with a vendor. So we'll call that if you want to call that a party.
Okay. All right. So now let's kind of transition into some of these questions. We got onto the topic of sales and the idea that most MSPs, forget the term that was said there, either have a problem with sales or don't know how to sell.
Yeah. Yes. I feel like a lot of the MSPs focus more on the service side of things, the operation side of things, and sales is usually kind of drug along. sales really isn't in the forefront. And they do, in my experience, struggle with the sales piece. And I think it's because it's challenging. It's a very hard thing to do. It's a very trust-based sale. And the way that I kind of try and articulate this, even within my own organization, is, you're asking somebody to give you the backbone of their company and provide that support. So that would be like, you coming to me or me coming to you saying, hey, you've got this $2 million financial portfolio that supports your company and it's going to support your family and it's going to support your retirement. Give that to me and let me handle that for you. Let me manage that for you. Right. That's going to be a hard sell unless I can really articulate the value in that and prove to you that you can trust me, you can trust this company, you can trust that we're going to be doing the right thing, right? It's kind of the same thing. When you're asking any company nowadays to give you the backbone and the lifeblood of their organization, which is their network, it's a big ask. So the sales part of that is very, very challenging. And it's a very kind of unique kind of space, in my opinion, because it is so critical to the business. And it takes a very dedicated, educated, and tenacious sales team in order to articulate the value of bringing your new client on board.
All right. Now, a problem that a lot of us have on the lower end of the MSP world, we deal with customers who look at us only as a line item, and it's a matter of how can we drive that cost down. I would imagine that, yes, you have similar people in the enterprise space that think that way, but it's a much different approach. Do you think that's true, or are they really the same no matter where we are in the space?
Yeah, I think it's maybe a little bit of both. It's the same in some respects, and just on a larger scale, right? I mean, there's a lot of people. It depends on who you're talking to, also, right? I think when you're dealing with more of an SMB market, you're dealing with more of the one person that wears a lot of different hats, right? He's your IT guy, he's your purchasing guy, he's a lot of things. Right. When you're dealing with more of the larger end of the SMB market. And that enterprise market, lower enterprise market, you're really dealing with a lot of silos, right? You're dealing with the IT teams, the CIOs, the CTOs, the VPs of infrastructure, things of that nature. And then there's procurement that's siloed over here, right? So procurement's going to look at us like, hey, we just need cost savings. If you can save me some money, then we'll have a conversation. Where your IT organization is more concerned about the security aspect of it and the service end of it and the downtime and the uptime and things of that nature. So I think from our side, we get a little bit of both of that. And we have to balance that.
Of course. Before I ask the other questions that I have in my head, I'm going to ask you, before we do that, to describe your sales style as best as you can, in as short a time as you can.
Short amount of time. Okay. So my sales style is I don't sell. Right. I want to solve problems. I don't want to just go out there and talk about here's what we do and here's what we sell and here's how we do it. I want to find out, how can I solve a problem for my potential customer? What is your need? What keeps you up at night? The proverbial what keeps you up at night, right? Like, what are your problems and how can I help you solve them, and your goals? Where are you going? Where do you see yourself in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years? How can I help you get there with my services and my solutions? So my sales style is non-selling, more relationship based and trust based.
So I think a lot of us want to believe that that's us. We don't want to be salespeople. We want to be that trusted advisor, or whatever term you want to use. But we still come at it from a perspective that for some reason doesn't translate. So for those of us that are trying to do what you do, what do you see as, let's start with the mistakes. What are the things that we're doing wrong when we're out there not selling?
Yeah. So I think the first thing that people need to do is ditch the PowerPoint presentations, right? Especially in the first couple of meetings, right? Once you have a solution that's defined, then bring in the PowerPoint with the graphs and the visuals that they can put the whole picture together. But I see a lot of people in this space, and even some people that, that I've brought into the organization, and they walk in and they say, oh yes, I'm going to walk in and I'm going to investigate, I'm going to ask questions, I'm going to listen, and I'm going to do these things. And then they walk in with the PowerPoint. Here's all of the things that we do. And the fact of the matter is, if you're there, they already know what you do. They've done their research. These are IT people. They know who you are. They know what you do. They probably know how you do it. They want to know why. Why should you be the one that they choose? And in order to do that, you have to figure out how to solve their problems. And then you can tell them why, right? So when you walk in with this PowerPoint presentation, or even the conversation with, hey, these are all the things that we do, and this is a great way that we do it, then the person that you're talking to starts checking boxes. I have somebody that provides my circuits for me. I have somebody that, does my help desk. I have somebody that manages my outages, and they start checking. Yeah, somebody does. I already have somebody that does all this. Thank you very much. Don't call us. We'll call you. Whereas when you start asking questions about, what are your plans? What are your goals? Where are your challenges? Obviously, you're using somebody today to manage your network. How are you managing it? What's working? What's not working? And then really kind of drilling down to what it is that they need, then you can craft the solution. I think a lot of people struggle with that, especially early on.
Are you able to ask at that time, I understand you have somebody, I understand you're taken care of. Are there any places where support is lacking that you think could be better that maybe we could look at? Is that a way to phrase a question, or do you not do that in the beginning?
Yeah, I think I phrase it differently, because you kind of have to earn the right to ask those types of questions, right? I think it's more into, okay, if you talk to them about what's working for you today and what's not working for you, and kind of leave out, hey, I know that you're using somebody else, but just kind of, you make that assumption because they're doing it one way or another, either in-house or outsourced. And you just kind of find out, how are you managing your network today? What works? What do you like about it? What doesn't work? What do you wish could be better? And just kind of follow the conversation and see where it goes. And that's where I said you have to be educated, and you can't just follow a script. You have to be able to drill down when they answer the question. You don't want to just move on to the next and have it be like an interview. You want to be able to, okay, let's unpack that a little bit. Let's drill down. And you have to have the background, and you have to have the skill set to be able to drill down into that conversation.
Yeah. Do you do a lot of research on the company before you sit in that meeting?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That is a critical component. Even before you even reach out to an organization, right? Even before you reach out to somebody to even ask for the conversation, there's a lot of research that should go into that. You really need to find out what they're responsible for. What kind of pain is that organization experiencing? I mean, I'll tell my team, hey, go out to LinkedIn and find out who their engineers are. The engineers love to talk about their problems, right? Find out what their problems are on that level in IT, and see if you can find something that resonates with them, right? Something that's going to hit home with them, to even have the conversation. But yeah, research is should probably be the majority of a sales job today, is doing research and making sure that you have the knowledge when you walk into a meeting that you need.
Okay, now let's take a step back, because in order to research a company, you have to have them on your radar. And a lot of us are doing our marketing to just simply get leads. So let me ask you, how are you getting to that point? How are you getting your leads? How are you getting to the right person and getting to the point where you can then research?
Yeah. That's the $1 million question, isn't it? How do you know?
I'm glad I asked it.
Yes. How do you know who you should be reaching out to? And a lot of it is research, right? you kind of come up with your demographic of who you want to go out to, who's your core client, who fits into your sweet spot. Is it retail? Is it manufacturing? Is it hospitality? You kind of have to figure out who's your best client. And then you find out who those people are. And then from there, you kind of have to do, again, it's a lot of research, right? You have to figure out, you can use tools like LinkedIn, LinkedIn Sales Navigator. I'm a big fan of. It can tell you who's searching for the services that you're providing. And that can be a huge, huge asset. Because if people are out there talking about needing services that you provide, and they're searching for these things, and LinkedIn can kind of help you narrow that down. The LinkedIn Sales Navigator. So that's a great tool to have. So using the right tools. And the other thing, I think that's extremely helpful is, having a network and talking to your current clients, talking to the people in your network and simply asking them, hey, do you know anybody that has a need? Do you know anybody that was experiencing some of the pain that you were, that we've solved for you? Or do you know anybody that is, having these challenges? And if you do the right thing by your clients and you're providing, a good service, they'll be happy to refer you to other organizations.
So I've been one of the lucky ones where I'd say probably 80% of my business has been referrals. It has literally been somebody who has referred me at the right critical time, and very little, I don't want to say very little effort. That doesn't sound right.
Oh, it's always effort.
Yeah, it is effort. You still got to close the deal, but it's been referrals. We haven't had much of this conversation, Laura, but I'm known as No Marketing Marv. So I'm not the one that's, you don't see me putting those posts on LinkedIn or Facebook. I'm not sending out the postcards and the newsletters and stuff. I probably should if I want to grow, but I'm good where I am. But for a lot of people, they're not willing to do that research. They just want to pay somebody to get them leads. And then after the leads, the process that and somebody can probably correct me if I'm wrong, but from all the discussions that I've had, nobody's ever talked about doing the research that you just described. They want to get the lead. They want to get who to get in front of and, who to set up their presentation for. And then it's bang, 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 tell them what they need. Here's how I can save you money. The research isn't there. So how do we get people to flip that switch?
Yeah, the lead generation companies are not all, there's some of them that do really well. Some of them don't do really well. It's kind of a gamble. My kind of take on that is when you're having like a company doing the business development piece of your business, they really better know your business inside and out. And most of the time, they know a part of your business, but then you're asking somebody who knows a part of your business to kind of do the selling for you. Right. And you really, you could be missing out on opportunities because messages are getting, signals are getting crossed, wires aren't connecting. They can't answer a question when they get somebody on the phone. And the first thing they want to do is, I can't answer that question. Let me set up a meeting. And then, things kind of can fall apart from there. So right. I feel like when you're, and again, not all lead generation companies are bad. There are some of them out there that can do a fantastic job. It's trial and error, whether or not that's gonna produce fruit for you. And I know some companies that have used them that they have some great success, and I know others that haven't. I have worked for companies that have internalized the business development piece, so they have people that are calling and doing the leads and things for you. But it kind of goes back to that. If you're going to be talking to somebody, you really have to have that deep knowledge and be able to talk their language if you're going to keep the conversation going, right? So that's why it's so important to do the research, and it's so important to have the knowledge and the experience that you can talk to them when you do get them to engage.
Okay. I'm going to be mindful of time because I think when I ask these next few questions, they can turn into a lot. you've mentioned LinkedIn a few times already. And you've talked about the fact that you have asked your engineers to go on LinkedIn and look up stuff.
Yeah, so I've asked my sales team, go look at the prospects that you're going after, and find their engineers. What are they saying? What are they asking questions about? What are they struggling with? Because LinkedIn, a lot of engineers will use LinkedIn for that forum, right? To go in and hey, I'm having this issue, and who can help me solve it, things like that. So I'll have my sales team go out and hey, find out what their engineers are struggling with, see if there's something there that we can assist with.
All right. So is it fair to say that you are using LinkedIn as your primary sales tool?
I would say as a primary sales tool right now, we're using ZoomInfo, we're using LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Those are kind of the two primary, and they kind of complement each other. One is for more of the research, and one is for more of the tactical side of things. But those are the two primary tools that we are using. And again, research has to go far beyond LinkedIn and ZoomInfo and those kind of tool sets. I mean, you have to do, Google searches and financial searches and all kinds of things, especially when you're prepping for a meeting, that factor into that as well. But I would say those are our two core.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't know much about ZoomInfo, so I'm going to have to say, let me ask questions that I at least know I can ask in some sort of intelligent manner. And only because LinkedIn, I think, I don't want to call it a low-hanging fruit, but I think all of us are on LinkedIn and we don't use it in the way that you just described. Mm-hmm. So there's two parts to LinkedIn. There's regular LinkedIn that most of us are on. Yes, we can connect with people. Yes, we can see posts. But then you've mentioned Sales Navigator.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Now, I've seen it, they'll send me a message, a couple of times a week. Hey, try Sales Navigator. And I look at the price and I'm like, nope, not going to use it. Don't do it. Listening to you, it sounds like I should be using it. So what are the benefits to adding on the Sales Navigator part?
Yeah, Sales Navigator is really good for that analytical piece and the research, right? So you can set up your lists of your target account base, and it's really going to tell you where there's movement in those accounts and what they're looking for. If they're searching for things that you're selling, it will tell you that. It'll give you that information so that it'll give you what we call like intent data. There's an intent to buy here. You might want to reach out to these people, right? And it tell you who you may want to reach out to these particular contacts. If somebody's moving around, it'll send you alerts that, that so-and-so left this organization, went to this organization, that's really valuable information as well. So it's really good for that kind of that intent data and that, that research tool is what we like to use Sales Navigator for.
Okay. So you mentioned a lot there in terms of contacts and moving and, you are saying that if somebody has an intent to buy or they're looking for something, Sales Navigator will actually put that in there? How does that information get into LinkedIn?
Yeah. So like if somebody is on, like if your contact is on LinkedIn and they're searching for these things, they're searching for managed services providers and things like that, it will send a notification. Hey, this company that you have on your list is, maybe looking for a managed services provider. It can give you that kind of intent data.
But is that something
I mean, is it 100%? Absolutely not. I mean, I don't think anything is 100%, but at least it gives you some direction on where you should go rather than just kind of, hey, I think I'm going to reach out to this company today and see if they have a need, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So if somebody were to get started with that, let me go back and ask this question first, because you talked about all the metrics and all the stuff in there. If somebody were to get started with LinkedIn Sales Navigator, what would be the place to start for somebody like me? I have a feeling it's going to be overwhelming. I'm not a salesperson. I'm not going to hire a salesperson yet. Mm-hmm. So what could I do as the business owner, senior tech with Sales Navigator?
Yeah, I think, the first thing that I would do with somebody in your position is I would create your list of your current clients and people that would, demographic of target clients that you would want to reach out to, right? And the first thing that you would want to do is you want to see if there's movement within your current client organization or prospects or that you may be reaching out to, right? And you not being the salesperson, right? Maybe that prospecting piece isn't as important to you, but knowing where your current clients are, they going to a different organization? Have they left an organization? That's valuable information for you as well. And getting an alert on that, John Smith left, XYZ company and went to ABC. Then you're going to want to pick up the phone and call them and say, hey, I see that you made a move, let's keep in touch.
Can you take me with you?
Right. Well, and then, hey, when you get your feet wet, you want to keep up that contact and that communication. Right. So, that would be the first place that I would start for somebody in your shoes.
Okay. I just thought of this and I need to ask, do you like sports?
I do.
I mean, you're from Cleveland area, so
I knew that was going to come up. I knew that was going to come up, but I like sports. It's a painful subject, though, being in Cleveland.
Sorry.
That's
the
okay.
reason
and baseball starts today, so that's really exciting.
Okay, all right. The reason I asked because I wanted to see if this analogy would work, and you could go with me there. What made me think of that is, if somebody leaves an organization, goes someplace else, and the whole idea of, hey, take me with you. When coaches, change teams, a lot of times they'll take their coaching staff. They can't take players, because of contracts and stuff, but sometimes they do end up, players will go where a previous coach was and stuff like that. I imagine I've had clients that have done that with me, where an attorney has left a law office and they, worked their butt off to get me to work at their new law firm and stuff. I imagine that's got to be a similar type thing in that space, right? When you get, you get a CTO, CIO, or somebody at a big, large enterprise, they go someplace else. I'm assuming that they're looking at Vector Network, and saying, hey, can you guys come help us here, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. And I think that comes down to, having the relationship and also providing, the quality service that they need. And if you have those two things in place, then absolutely, if they're going to go into another organization, there's a very good chance that they're going to bring you with them. I've had companies from very large organizations call me and say, hey, I made a move here, and can you come in and talk to my team, and let's see what we can do here.
All right. Yeah. So it doesn't really sound much different. It's just, the number of zeros might be different, but the process still feels the same.
Process is probably, yes, very much the same. Yes, it's sales.
Okay. Let's see here how much time we have, because I know you've got a meeting. Let me ask this. Now, you have kind of gone through the tech ranks and ended up in sales. I assume that you love sales now?
I do. I do love sales. Yes.
Okay. If you weren't doing sales, can you think of what you might be doing otherwise?
If I wasn't in sales and sales leadership, what would I be doing otherwise? I can't even fathom. I've been doing it for so long. I mean, if I had to do my dream job, I'd be a marine biologist and spend my time underwater with scuba gear, dealing with underwater creatures. Yes.
Oh my.
Yes.
Hey, yeah. Did SeaWorld shut down up by you?
It did. Oh my gosh, so many years ago. Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a housing development now, unfortunately, but yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
I had my best friend and best man at my wedding worked for SeaWorld Orlando, and he had an opportunity to go to SeaWorld in Ohio. And I was like, dude, he had never been outside the state of Florida.
Oh,
you are not going to like the winters there.
Not going to like the winters. Yeah. Yeah. Did he come?
No, he didn't.
He didn't. Yeah. That was, yeah. I mean, if he would have come in April and spent 9 months, he would have had a great time.
Yeah. You guys have nice summers up there.
We have beautiful summers here, and we have great resources here with Lake Erie is just a great resource for us. And, we're 2 hours from the mountains and 6 hours from a beach. And There's a lot.
What beach?
Well, I mean, 6 hours you can be, I think, in Virginia Beach.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So, you know,
All right.
yeah. And I mean, there's northern beaches. I mean, there's beaches, believe it or not. There's beaches on Lake Erie. They're not like the ocean, but some days when that lake kicks up, it can be.
Okay. I'm never going to go see it, but nice to know. All right. Let me ask another question in terms of sales. Now, you've been there a year. Have you had any huge, big wins that you're proud of? Anything that you can share in terms of how what we've talked about in sales, did work for you?
Yeah. So I think, just specifically here at Vector, I think one of the major accomplishments that I've done here is I've transformed our sales organization and really got us into a point where we are really that sales engine. We are starting to see some momentum. We're hitting our goals. We're making our quarters. We are working with the operations team and really partnering with our operations teams to make sure that it's a very cohesive experience for our clients. So I think that's probably one of the greatest accomplishments so far here at Vector. I hope to look back in 5 or 10 years from now and say that was peanuts compared to what I've been able to accomplish here. I've got big lofty goals. But in my overall career, I've had some really big wins with some really big name organizations, bringing them into the managed services space, and a lot of cool things. I had one client, and again, I don't like to name names, but I had one client that I worked for a solid year, and I don't recommend this to anybody that you put all your eggs in one basket, but I worked for a solid year to bring in a massive big name account, and it really transformed not only my sales career, but also our organization. We leveled up what we were going to provide based on their requirements. And we leveled up our services, and we leveled up our tools and things to be able to support them. And so to be a part of that was pretty cool too.
All right. I probably should have asked this earlier so we could have done that little good, bad, good sandwich thingy.
I remember
because I have to imagine that in a company your size, there's a time where sales will, go out, get the sale and say, oh yeah, we can do that. Oh yeah, we can do that. Do you ever have the support team or dev team or somebody say, why did you promise that?
It's been a while. I think with the previous company that I was at, that probably happened a little bit more often. But here at Vector, I haven't had that yet, and I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that the sales and operations teams really are a cohesive unit. We really do. We're integrated, which is unusual for a company our size. Usually they're very siloed, and you do get a lot of that. It's us versus them, and why did you sell this, and why did you do that, and why can't you support this, and this should be simple, and it's not. And you get a lot of that. I think when you are able to marry your sales and your operations teams, and you really get them working together on a day-to-day basis, it really alleviates a lot of that. And that's what we've been able to create here at Vector.
Okay, nice. Now, I did not ask you about the history of Vector. So how much of that do you know since you've only been with them a year? I assume they've been around a while, right?
I've been around a while. I know enough to be dangerous, but
okay.
Yeah. So I can give you a little bit of background. Vector Security Networks started out. I told you we have the whole physical security side of our organization. So the way that the managed services and Vector Security Networks piece was born was, the physical security side. Those used to be very closed systems. You're talking about CCTV and things like that, and nothing really touched the network. It was all very ancillary. It was over here.
Okay.
About 10, 12 years ago, they noticed that IT was getting more involved because a lot of the physical security has evolved onto the network. So they're cloud-based platforms now, and the cameras and things are now endpoints that are hanging off of the network. So now IT is involved in the decision-making process, and IT is involved in they have to put their stamp of approval on it. And so Vector Security said, hey, we we need to get in front of this, and we need to be the experts on the IT side of things, so that when we are engaging with IT, we know how to talk to them. We understand what their needs are, and we can provide them with services that will give them a holistic solution. And I think, and so they bought a company, an IT organization, and we've built it from there to grow into the managed services provider that we are today. And we offer a very unique service offering to even our physical security company clients, that we can now provide that either an integrated or even a separate network for their security systems as well. We can provide that whole end-to-end piece of it, which is fairly unique.
All right, nice. Now, I did read up that you have at least one company, and I'm assuming probably more, Gabe Discount Stores. It's been with you guys for 43 years. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
Have you?
And that would be on the physical security side of the organization. Yes.
Okay. So that's, you guys have been around a while.
Would love to have them as a managed services client. If they're out there watching.
All right.
We'll send this to them.
Gabe, give Laura a call. All right, Laura, I know we're coming up against a time crunch, and part of that's my fault for the little hiccup I had during our show, but thank you very much. It was nice to catch up with you and see you again. And when are you coming back to Florida?
Yeah, I will be there next week, as a matter of fact.
Oh.
Yes, I'll be in the Miami area for 3 days next week.
Oh, I'm not going to Miami to see you.
Maybe I'll come up to.
Okay, we can do that. We'll talk after the show. All right, folks, there you have it. Laura Jetter, Director of Sales for Managed Network Services at Vector Security Networks.
Thank you very much.
That is a long title. Her information will be in the show notes, folks. You'll have a profile on the IT Business Podcast website. And if you think you need to pick your game up in sales, she might be a good person to chat with. So connect with her, learn more about managed network services, and continue doing what you do, folks. And on behalf of Laura, I'm going to say that's it for today. We will see you soon on another episode. And until then, holla.